Hello, Vineland. Welcome to Coach's Corner, the weekly sports talk show where we highlight our athletic programs. Today we're joined by Coach Russo and some members of our football team. Coach Russo, thanks for coming and checking in Coach's Corner.
Great, thanks for having us.
All right, we got Mr. Sansalone and we got Nihym Anderson with us today. How you doing, guys?
We're doing good.
All right, in the middle of a very good season for the football team. We all know that football teams and any really high school athletes in general, it's not just an in-season kind of thing anymore. A lot gets done with the football program in the off-season. Nihym, why don't you start telling us about your off-season program? Like, let's say this, last year, Thanksgiving Day, it was a pretty good day.
Yeah.
Game ends. What happens next for the football program at Vineland High School?
Back to work.
Okay, what does that consist of? Weight training, that kind of thing?
Yeah, weight training, just getting back to bond with the team and just regrouping and getting ready for the next year.
Okay, now those of you at home that know, or maybe you don't know, Nihym was a highly recruited student athlete this past off season and this season still, signing a national letter of intent to play football at Maryland next year. How did that factor into your off season as far as your academic preparation and balancing all your recruiting aspects of things?
Well, really just, staying focused and just worrying about what's the important things.
Okay. But how do you do that? I mean, I know Coach Russo asked a lot of you guys as far as weight training during the summer, during the spring. Is it tough to balance your academics?
I mean, that's a big part of it. So I mean, that's number one. So I mean, it can't be hard because that's what's number one.
Okay.
You're not going anywhere without.
So there's no option. That has to come first.
First.
Gotcha. How was the recruiting process for you?
It was real overwhelming.
Okay.
It was a lot for me. Just calling 10 coaches a night and getting 50 text messages a day, and it was just too much for me.
Okay. So much has been written about you and Noah and Pop with the recruiting process that you guys went through. We know you chose Maryland. What other schools were you thinking about?
I liked Pittsburgh a lot. That was really it.
Right. What was it about Maryland that pushed you over the top?
It just felt like home to me. Talking to all our coaches, they all been to college, and they all said like, once you get there, once you find the one, you're gonna get a feeling, and immediately I just built a bond with the coaches, and it just felt like home to me, and I knew that was where I needed to be.
Okay. Now you're going to go to Bucknell next year?
Sure.
How was that recruiting process for you?
It wasn't as bad as these guys because I didn't have as many picks, but it was still stressful because you still had to travel to visit places and stuff like that.
Okay, and how about academics for you? How important was that in opening doors for you?
Academics always been number one with my mom and stuff, so it of course came first because, like Nihym said, without the grades you can't go anywhere.
Okay. Both of you guys enjoying a great senior year. The team's undefeated so far. Some big games coming up, playoff games, Thanksgiving Day games. Hopefully, some games after the Thanksgiving Day game. Young men sitting out there watching this at home, saying, "Man, I'd like to be up there someday, being like these young men." What word of advice for those young boys? Say an 8th grader sitting out there on the couch, looking at Nihym Anderson, saying, "I want to be him someday. Get to hang out with Mr. Robbins." What would be your word of advice to that young man?
My word of advice to a young man that's coming up, I would tell you, don't be me, don't be Nihym Anderson. Be better than me, be better than me. Be on ESPN or something. Don't. It's bigger than sitting with Mr. Robbins.
Are you saying that Coach's Corner ESPN is better than Coach's Corner?
Nah, it's bigger than this though.
That's good. Coach Russo, Vineland boy, born and raised, homegrown, 5th year with the program. 5 years under your belt, I should say. What's it like coming home and doing this thing and really turning this whole program around?
Yeah, I couldn't bring this passion anywhere else. It's just, it's all about, Vineland. Very proud of my hometown, and I make sure I go the extra yard every day, running this football program and making sure these kids have what they need to be successful. And it's been a great experience, very rewarding, and it's good. It's a good feeling to see that we've turned the corner and we're having a lot of success here.
Yeah, very lucky, Vineland and Coach Russo. We have 2 feeder programs here, and you can see the fruit of those feeder programs when you watch our football team play on Friday afternoon or Saturday afternoons or Friday nights. Coach, how important is it to have those 2 feeder programs feeding your program?
Yeah, it's extremely important. We have, a lot of great people involved with both of our leagues. We have the Vineland Midget Football League, that's been around for close to 60 years, maybe even over 60 years, and also the Vineland Blitz. They're doing an excellent job as well. Chris Wilson is the president of the Vineland Midget Football League, and then Nick Basil is the president of the Blitz organization, and they put in countless hours, both of them and their board members and coaches, and it's all volunteer. They don't get anything back other than the satisfaction of seeing their teams being successful and then sending them to the high school. So, a big part of our success depends on their success, and they're working with us on a daily basis, and it's going well.
Coach, another thing that I noticed contributing to the success of the program, which really coincides with the two feeder programs, is the Board of Education's commitment to build a new weight room at the high school. How has that weight room affected your program, you think, in a positive way?
Well, the weight room is outstanding, and we're very fortunate to have it, but you have to take advantage of it and actually use it. And we start in January. They get a month off after our last game. They get December off, and then once winter break is done, we get right back into this weight room. And you can't show up in the summertime and expect to be successful. Our guys work extremely hard. Coach Clifton Smith is excellent here with the strength and conditioning. We're very fortunate to have him here. He's irreplaceable, as well as my other coaches, and it's just a good situation. But very lucky and fortunate to have this facility here for our guys and for the other sports as well.
Coach, I know, as I mentioned to the players on the team, we're having a great season, looking forward to the playoffs. Don't want to jinx anything with the playoffs and Thanksgiving and things of that nature, but you being a homegrown talent, if you will, the traditions that are associated with Vineland High School football, let's comment on that. Looking forward to the playoffs, looking forward to Thanksgiving. What types of things are you expecting for these young men?
Yeah, it's been a great experience to bring some traditions back. As you know, when I got here, homecoming was like on Friday nights, and when I was here as a player and a fan, we had a big event on Saturday. So I'm glad to see that it's all working out and we can have homecoming on Saturdays again. We have that huge parade. Everyone's excited. We had a packed house this year as well. As far as Thanksgiving, that speaks for itself here in this community. It's one of the biggest games in the country, always our biggest game of the year, and just feel very privileged to be able to coach in that game. I got to play in it as well, and we're starting to have some success there on Thanksgiving, so we're very excited about that game as well.
Definitely a lot of positive vibe in the community and on social media about the football program. You have a great booster club and a great supporting cast that helps you. As we all know, any leadership role, you can't do it yourself. What is your booster club? What do they do for the program, or who are the people that are involved in it?
Yeah, our booster club for the football team is called the Red and Gray Gridiron, and it consists of Art Brophy Jr. as the president, Vince Luciano is the vice president, and then we have board members Jeff Medio, Jim Cavallero, and Todd Pierce, and they do an excellent job helping us have some extra money for things like pregame meals and possibly things that we can't get out of the school budget for our kids, t-shirts, things like that. So any good football program, it's essential that you have this booster club on board what you're doing, and it's nice to see that coming together. We have a lot of support from our donors. Can't say enough about them. Without them, we wouldn't be able to be doing this, so I thank them as well, and very happy that that's come back strong. A lot of people are buying in, like Mr. Robbins said. It's nice to be out in the community, out and about. People go out of their way to say, hey, we're really proud of what you're doing here. You got great kids, and very happy.
And I noticed our local newspaper's been covering the team extensively based on their success and things of that nature. But this past weekend was a nice article written about your social media presence for the football team. And you mentioned Jimmy Cavallero. Maybe just comment a little bit on that, how he's keeping us up with the times.
Yeah. As I said in the paper, we try to bring a little old school to the kids, and they teach us new school things. And new school means Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, things like that. And we try to stay in a position where we can communicate with them and get our message across through the things that they look at. Unfortunately, nowadays they're not picking up newspapers and not looking at them. They're looking at their phones and iPads and things like that, and they're looking at it digitally. So talked to Jim Cavallero about it, and he's been real good on all our social media, our Twitter, our Facebook, and I do what I can as well. But Jimmy is a huge asset to our program and gets our message across to the youth of Vineland.
All right, thanks, Coach, and thanks, Nihym and Noah. We're going to take a short break. We're leaving Bucknell and Maryland, and we're coming back with Rutgers and Vineland High School. 2 more special guests in just a second. Welcome back. We're joined now by Isaih Pacheco. How you doing, Isaih?
How you doing, Don?
Good, doing well. And Anthony Reyes is a junior here at Vineland High School. A little perspective, we talk so much about the recruiting process, and we're lucky enough to have some student athletes that were recruitable this past fall from the football program. Of course, Isaih went through the recruiting process and ended up choosing Rutgers University. And Anthony Reyes is a junior here at Vineland High School, so next year he's choosing Vineland High, and he is beginning his recruiting process now, so we want to give a little perspective on that. But we'll start with you, Pop. How was that recruiting process for you? What schools were you considering, and why did you ultimately choose the Scarlet Knights?
It was real big recruiting process. It was a lot of pressure. I had to pick the best team for me and my family, and what was best for me. And I think Rutgers was one of the best colleges that I had, in my opinion, for just the location and for my parents. And it was a great choice. And the other colleges, they were a little far out of town, and I wasn't ready to be out of town yet. I was ready to stay home and stuff and have my family to support me a lot. And it was a great choice for me.
And so much has been written about you and talked about you as far as your prowess on the athletic field, football team, baseball team. But academics has always been so important to you since your freshman year. How is it for you balancing those 2 things? Being you played a little basketball, you played a little baseball, you played a lot of football since you've been here,
yes,
but you've always been able to balance the academics. How challenging is that for you?
It was really challenging, but I got on it from the start. As soon as I walked in Vineland High School, as I was a freshman, the grades always been first, and just kept keeping positive and trusting the process. Was most importantly, having Coach Russo and everybody, the staff, have my back. It's just great support system around Vineland.
All right, Pop, let's talk a little bit about this football team. We're having a great run the last couple of years.
Yes, sir.
This year, undefeated thus far. What things are you most proud of from this season, and what are we looking forward to?
Most importantly right now, I'm proud of my team on how we're playing, keeping our composure during the games, and having each other's backs is important, because we could be pointing fingers at each other, but we don't do that. We pick one another up, and it's just team sport. And we're on the road, and we're looking forward to play St. Augustine Prep on Friday, and it's going to be a good game, and looking forward to come out with a W.
All right. And Anthony Reyes, as we mentioned, is a junior. Looking forward to a big senior year, but in the midst of a great junior season, both individually and as a team. What are some things you're looking forward to coming up on the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season?
Well, right now, what I'm looking forward to is playing really aggressive and a great bond as a team and a brotherhood, and everybody stick together, and really just we all fight as one, like fighting clan. We stick together, and we get the dub no matter what happens. And at the end of the day, we all gonna be brothers, and we just fight. That's all we do.
You guys at home, you can see the passion in Anthony's eyes when he talks. And one thing that we don't have to worry about Anthony is playing with aggression. Anthony's an aggressive guy when it comes in a sporting way on the football field.
Of course.
Also very competitive in the classroom, and has himself in a situation like Pop and the other fellas that he's also a recruitable student athlete to get to the next level. Anthony, how's that process? I know it's just starting out for you, but how's that process playing out for you?
My main goal was this year, as soon as the year started, A's and B's right off the bat, and continue that all the way through my senior year, no matter what, even if I'm getting recruited or not, to keep my grades up, never to slack, and pick up my work 24/7. If I gotta get tutors. If I gotta stay after to do my work, I do what I gotta do to keep my grades up and get my GPA higher as it could be.
That's great, Anthony. Great answer and great advice for young men and women that are home watching this. Coach Russo, so much is involved in coaching any high school sport. Perhaps football might be a larger umbrella than most with so many moving parts. But when you have the 5 or 6 or 7 recruitable student athletes and the college visits that go on during the season and after the season, it's got to be, one, proud for you to have those student athletes in your program, but also an added responsibility to make sure that the forms are filled out and the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. How do you juggle those things?
Well, it's not easy, but I make sure that these kids are in a position to have future success once they leave Vineland High School. And being through the process myself as a player, and then talking to my friends and things like that, former teammates, I want to make sure these kids don't get missed. And I really go out of my way to make sure that they get the looks and the exposure that they need. Now we have such credibility because we're, one of the best teams in the state that the college coaches are calling more and more each year. So it was amazing last year. One day alone, we had 4 Big Ten colleges here at Vineland. 4 in one day. We had Iowa, Maryland, Rutgers, and Ohio State. So it was really amazing to me to see the caliber coaches coming through the halls here now at Vineland High School, and it's going to continue. So if you're looking to get exposure to playing college, this is the place to be.
Sure.
Speaking of exposure, over the last couple of years, we've been very competitive. We've been very fortunate to have the support of our community, not only our school, but if you look at our homecoming, Coach Russo, you mentioned the parade and bringing back the traditions. Home games are packed now. I mean, how much is, I guess I'll ask you guys as a group, or Anthony, I'll start with you, the hometown showing up in droves for home football games. How does that affect the boys on the team?
Well, as soon as we see like our, I wouldn't say family because we cheer everybody like family, but as soon as we see our family and we're on the field warming up, everybody just puts a smile on your face immediately to know that it's not just us on the field, we also have people outside the field that love and enjoy us, and we love to put on a show for everybody, and we love to do what we do in front of everybody to see that what hard work, where it really gets you at.
Okay. Coach Russo, the fans are definitely coming back to Catone Stadium. I mean, how impressive is that? How important is that, you think, for the morale of your team?
Yeah, definitely helps. And as you said with the fans, a lot of people have asked, how'd you do this? And how'd you get it done? And one of the answers I say is everybody's all in, from the top to the bottom. The board members, Superintendent, Dr. Russo, Dr. McCann, Mr. Robbins has been nothing but a huge supporter of our program and all the programs here at Vineland High School. But everyone in town is all in. The community, the players. We didn't have much to sell at first. We had a vision, and luckily for us, a lot of these kids you see sitting here right now bought into a vision, and now we have some substance. So a lot of these kids, the youth in Vineland, the midget ball players, are really pumped up about Vineland football. The community members. It's really nice to hear everywhere. In town, congratulations, great job, we're proud of you. And I always told our fans and administrators here and the board members, we're going to win here, and we're going to win the right way with the right kids. And our philosophy is to keep Vineland kids in Vineland. Obviously, we're school choice. We don't go out recruiting anybody. We just want the Vineland kids to stay home, and they're doing that now. And the Vineland kids are sticking together, and you're seeing what happens when Vineland sticks together. So it's a good experience here for us.
Anthony, I want to ask you, being a junior, it wasn't that long ago. It was your freshman year in high school, maybe coming out of 8th grade. What middle school did you go to?
Well, at first I was going to Rossi, and then when the middle school started to separate some of the kids because of their addresses, I ended up going my last year to Landis middle school.
Okay, so you got a taste of Rossi, a taste of Landis
Yeah,
school.
so.
Any 8th grader going to 9th grade has a little bit of anxiety, I'm sure, going from a smaller school to a larger school. If you could speak out to a young man at home who's coming to Vineland High School next year, maybe he's in 8th grade, wants to play football or any sport in general, what would be some words of advice that try to help him through his transition from 8th grade to 9th grade?
My advice is, as soon as you walk into the doors, instantly get to know who your teachers are, instantly get to know your surroundings, your coaches. Even if it's not your coach, still talk to them like it's your coach. Respect everybody. That's number one. Respect is always number one. Follow your rules. Be a leader. Be yourself. Don't ever be afraid to be yourself. You don't gotta be scared of nothing because everybody started in the same position you once started at. And maintain your grades because you can always keep that number one. No matter what, keep it number one. And your sports, that should, if you really love your sport, then that's a sport you should be in. Don't play a sport that you feel like you can't keep up. And if you feel like you can't keep up and you want to play it, then keep on grinding because the grind will get you anywhere.
Anthony, great answer, great answer. Pop, Vineland High School has embraced you since your freshman year, a 4-year starter here. I kind of look at you and I look at Tess Fisher going through 4 years of being superstars on the athletic field since your freshman year. What's Vineland High School mean to you?
It means a lot. I've been here since we were down, now we're up. It feels like everybody wants to be a part of this, but you know what I'm saying? We just got to keep positive, and we got a great energy around here now and great support system, and just got to look forward to our next opponents and ready to ball out.
All right, good answer, good answer. Coach Russo, thanks for bringing some of the guys in Coach's Corner today. Those of you at home, I'd like to thank you for watching. If you want to catch up with Pop and the football program, you can go to capeatlanticleague.org, click on Vineland, click on football, or any sport that you choose, and come on out and see the Fighting Clan on the athletic field. And thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you at a game.